Welcome back. All right, so here's a news of the day video that I'm recording very late at night here. I will post it to the channel early tomorrow morning. A video that I was trying to do since 7 o'clock at night my time. It's now nearly 11 because I gave up. There was a lot of noise. First there was neighbors, pressure washing, mowing, various things. This is what timestamps are for if you don't want to listen. And then we had a thunderstorm roll through, so a lot of noise. And so all right. I figured, all right, I'll go watch some TV and I'll do the news video a little later. I'll post it in the morning. So here we are. All right. So timestamps, people. Speaking of, Don Sweeney, his time is not up in Boston. They've extended his contract. We knew this was coming. There were rumors of this for a while. And so here we are. Sweeney's sticking around with Boston for a while. They said it's a multi-year deal, so you've got to think that even if Boston falls back in the standings next year, he's got at least a couple of years before there'd be any discussion of him being moved out. And so for Boston fans who felt that maybe Sweeney was to blame and not Cassidy, I have a feeling this news is not being greeted very warmly, and I say that having seen the reaction on Twitter, and it's right where you'd think it might be. Hopefully, Sweeney proves every Bruins fan wrong that's talking about him in that manner, and the job gets done. The Bruins are a contender. They win a couple Stanley Cups, and I suddenly sprout wings and fly. I think those things are just as likely to happen. But, we'll see. I mean, maybe if I think really hard about it, right? All right, next up. Liljegren. Liljegren signs a 2-year extension with the Toronto Maple Leafs at a cap hit of $1.4 million per season. That's why I'm wearing the Toronto You Can't Read This Arenas jersey and hat, because if they don't match, then I'd look silly. I know. But anyways, Liljegren, who I think they're going to have to put him into an expanded role at some point. There's going to be cap reasons why promoting Sandin and Liljegren makes a lot of sense and giving them a bigger role because they don't cost as much money. And then maybe you can move out somebody else. And whether that becomes Muzzin or who it becomes, there's going to be just some decisions to be made with the Toronto Maple Leafs if they're going to get over that hump and really and truly become a team that challenges for the Stanley Cup. Whether that means going 3 rounds or right into the final or whatever happens, you have to figure out what you need to get there. Liljegren signing for $1.4 million a year, that's a decent cap hit. You can work him into the lineup, and then by saving that money there, you can spend money elsewhere, right? All right, so we'll see how that turns out. And next on the board is Aube-Kubel, who famously last night, as he's skating in to join the team picture, he dings the cup. This is why they don't give them the real cup a lot of the time. They have a real cup that's in the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto, and then they have the cup that the team gets to sort of mess around with. That's one they can break it, they can lose it, they can throw it into the Grand Canyon. And it sort of feels like the one they hand out for the Stanley Cup celebration is probably the real one from the Hockey Hall of Fame, so it's probably a really expensive dent for Aube-Kubel. But anyways, it's entertaining, it's kind of funny, and on Colorado news as well, Jared Bednar proving he's one of the best coaches of this generation. He has won championships now at the Kelly Cup, which is ECHL, Calder Cup, which is AHL, and the Stanley Cup. So for Bednar, as far as I'm concerned, he's already got himself a Hall of Fame resume. We'll see whether or not that ends up being a thing, but for now, he's a Stanley Cup winning coach. Had to feel pretty good about that. And of course, we're hearing about the injuries that both Colorado and Tampa were dealing with. Spoiler alert, it was a lot. We know these guys play when they're beaten up, and this was the case in this Stanley Cup final as well. A lot of injuries. Now, what's interesting is that coming out of these playoffs, your scoring race winner ends up being Connor McDavid, who racked up 33 points during these playoffs. Remarkable run by McDavid. He does win that scoring title, not that there's an award associated with it. There probably should be. At some point this summer, maybe I'll go through and say, all right, if we created an award for and insert name of whether it's power play goals or whatever it is, and then come up with who'd win the trophies for that, right? And then we can have a debate on that. But for McDavid, he had a fantastic run. It's not his fault that Edmonton doesn't move on past Colorado. Colorado was pretty formidable. And again, McDavid gave everything he had, tons of points for him. And yeah, at least that is one positive for the Edmonton Oilers, that McDavid's shown that he can score in the playoffs. They can get into the conference finals. It's about getting over that hump. And of course, the goaltending question will continue until they remedy that in the upcoming weeks. Be interesting to watch them in free agency. All right, KHL sort of news today. Maxim Mamin of the Florida Panthers has gone to the KHL on a 3-year deal. Mamin, depth player for the Florida Panthers. And again, with depth players, when you see them going over to Europe or wherever you see them going, odds are they are replaceable at the NHL level. For Mamin, I don't know how much more upside there was there, so him going over to the KHL is fine. For Florida, there's a lot of depth at that organization. I'll think they'll be okay. And yeah, so wish him the best. He signed with, I believe it's with CSKA Moscow. So yeah, wish him the best in his playing there. Next up is the Memorial Cup. The Memorial Cup final is on Wednesday. Tonight, Hamilton earned the right to play St. John. I will admit that I was rooting for the Edmonton Oil Kings, which is why they're not playing anymore. So I'd like to apologize to Edmonton fans everywhere for that. But yeah, so it's going to be St. John and Hamilton. Now, if you're wanting to look at who might win, I've ordered a Hamilton jersey, so that would tell you it's probably going to be St. John, the host city, winning it. So St. John wins it. I guess that's me. Now, this is it's not really a meme, but it's something that goes back a long time, like 4 years ago. Every time I got a jersey of a team, they'd get knocked out of the playoffs. And I didn't intend it, but every time I got a team's jersey, they got knocked out of the playoffs. And so, yeah, if Hamilton loses tomorrow, that means that jinx is back in effect. Who knew? So yeah, Memorial Cup final. I do intend to watch it. I also intend to review that as well. There are some pretty decent NHL prospects in that game, and it should be entertaining to watch. So I do intend to watch it, take notes on it, the same as I did during the playoffs, and do a review when that's done. It's one of those things where people say, well, he's more the NHL guy than the hockey guy. Yes, I focus on the NHL, but I have no problem watching other hockey and reviewing that as well. Now, one of the more interesting storylines that's out there right now is that the Carolina Hurricanes are letting Ethan Bear's agent talk to other teams. This has led to speculation about who he could be talking to, might be talking to. And I've seen, like, is he talking to Vancouver? Is he talking to other areas of wherever he feels he might have the most success, or his agent feels like, okay, this team has some room, and Vancouver would definitely have room on the blue line, I would think, this upcoming season. The one thing with Bear, of course, is that I thought he was good in Edmonton. Carolina, it was a rough year. It feels like it started off pretty well for him, and then it just sort of went off the rails as the season went along. So he's still young. There's still a lot there, and I'd be kind of surprised if there aren't a number of teams that are willing to take him on at the right price and for the right term. And so we'll see what happens. But I do wish Ethan Bear the best. I think he can be a decent defenseman. And this is often the case, and I've talked about this a lot, where sometimes you just get somebody who's got the right fit with the right team. And Bear with Carolina, it ended up just not being that right fit. And then for D'Angelo, it did. So going into the season, we might have kind of expected, like, well, D'Angelo's going to do something during the season, and Carolina's going to have, nope, everything was fine. And for Bear, it was him that ends up falling out of the favor of Rod Brindamore and the team. But I do hope he finds a home that works for him, and I hope he has a big bounce back year next year. So there you go. Finally got it done. No thunderstorms, nothing. Cool. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. It means a lot. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video, and we're 105 days away from the start of next season, so it's going to be here before you know it. All right. Thanks again for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.